All right, good day, everybody. This is Z Marcel Pertut. Welcome to another edition of the Fighting Peaches. We're previewing Georgia State football's upcoming contest against Vanderbilt, and we were recording this on September 12th, 2024. As always, to follow everything that we do, go to the mothership, the sportsinquirer.net, which includes all of our content and archives and more. And you can go there, like our items, and be able to see everything that we do. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter/X, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure you look us up under Marcel Pertut or Etienne Marcel Pertut and Sports Inquirer. Look us up there and make sure you like, share, and subscribe our audio and video hosts, which include YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and more. As I mentioned, this edition of the Fighting Peaches previews Georgia State football's upcoming home contest against Vanderbilt, which will take place on September 14th, 2024. And we're going to preview some items from that contest, including audio and video from coaches and players from Georgia State as they prepare for the contest. We'll start with the head coach, Dell McGee, as he reflects on the win over Chattanooga last week and improvements that need to be made, and then ultimately hosting Vanderbilt and the impact it has on the program. Enjoy.
It's going to be required this week. Vanderbilt has an outstanding offense and defense. I think they're top 12 in stopping the run in the country and like 33rd in rush offense. Coach Beck, the offense coordinator, that was the head coach at Pittsburgh State. He's been running this offense for years, and the quarterback that he brought over from New Mexico State, Diego, understands offense checks. They got really good backs, got receivers that can make plays and contested catches. Their O-line is big, physical, and then defensively they're big up front. I think their linebackers and secondary does an outstanding job of flying to the football. They pursue the football well. They're well coached. And Clark Leah being the ex-Vanderbilt player, he has a lot of pride in his university. And being his fourth year there, you can kind of see everything kind of come together for their program. And their punter that transferred in from Ohio State, he's an excellent punter. And then they have weapons in the return game. So we're definitely going to play our best to stay in this football game, and that's the challenge to our guys this week. Just making sure that we play up to our standard, but also you play the very best where you don't have any regrets as an individual. With that being said, open up for questions.
You've had a pretty good perspective on Vanderbilt and watching them. Are you surprised at all the start they've gotten off to this season?
Not at all. I mean, Coach Leia's a very good coach. He spent numerous years in bigger Power 5 schools, and whenever you work at your university, it just adds a little bit more emphasis and importance to your program, and you want to make sure your program is run the right way. So you can kind of see they built things the right way. He's a defensive-minded coach, and they added the defense coordinator that has a little bit of different flavor than he does, and you can kind of see that a little bit in some of their new philosophies on defense. But for the most part, I know it's Coach Clark's defense, and they do an outstanding job of not beating themselves and playing with extreme effort and giving 11 hats to the football. So you got to make sure we try to match that intensity and physicality that they're going to have in the game.
Going back to Saturday's game, you talked about it, players book, you talked about wanting to get out to a faster start. Is that the kind of thing you wouldn't hope it'd be the case, that sometimes it has to happen in a game where it kind of clicks?
Yeah, you always want to get out to a fast start, but there's two teams out there and 11 players at a time, so it requires everyone to be on the same page. It requires coaches to make good calls, and it requires execution. So when things don't happen that way, we can't panic. We got to move on to the next moment and try to win that next moment. So everyone would love to start fast, go 3 and out, get the ball, punch it in the end zone, and the next series be the same thing. But this is high-level football, and we're playing a very good opponent. All of those guys are on scholarship. they are in the SEC conference, so I'm sure they're gonna have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, but so are we. And we're looking forward to the challenge in front of our fans. I was very pleased with our fan support last game, and really want to thank them for coming out to the game. Hopefully we can get more, and more so get our fans more involved in the game as far as crowd noise and celebrating successes when we do have them. Just trying to build that tradition of this being a hard place to play. We got a long way to go from that standpoint, but I know our fans will start to grow, and that will grow with the more success that we have.
Talk about up here, Coach. Facing Vanderbilt's offense with Diego leading the team in rushing and passing, how do you approach that?
Oh, my bad.
You're okay. Okay. How do you face a team? They're run heavy. Quarterbacks can keep the ball in his hands quite a bit, leading the team in rushing and passing. Defensively, how do you approach facing an opponent like this?
Yeah, our defense guys got to be have good eye discipline. Got to strike blockers up front, and make sure we're on our responsibility. They have a lot of zone read, power read, a little bit of triple option element to their offense. So a lot of the game is in the quarterback's hands, and he's a viable runner and thrower. So that just poses a more of a threat whenever he can outrun angles. He's very tough. He runs through contact. So we're going to have to have 11 men playing their responsibility. Then once we see where the ball is going, we got to try to gang tackle them and try to get them off schedule, so to speak, where it's basically like playing an Army-Navy type game. Their system, they're just doing it from the gun. So time of possession is critical, and we got to maximize our offensive opportunities as well, because the game will be shortened, provided that we can not allow big plays and explosive plays.
You also switching to the other side on offense against Chattanooga, run heavy, short passing. Do you expect to kind of see that approach this upcoming contest? And is that a philosophy that you're really trying to bring into just offense overall this year?
No, every game plan is different based on the team we're playing. So everyone has a different defensive philosophy. Defenses are going to take certain things away based on their players and schemes. So we're making game plans according to what a team does. Chattanooga was just playing so far off our guys; they weren't going to allow us to have any shots down the field. It was just basically backing up and breaking on the football and making the game that kind of way. So you just got a concept as a unit, and just defense and the special teams did us a great service, and also did a service to our defense by having them backed up. So we got to make sure we capitalize on the opportunities when they're given to us. We did shoot ourselves in the foot, and those are things that are correctable. And that we're a learning and growing football team. So just trying to grow each week from the mistakes we made from the prior week, and having more situational awareness, more urgency when there's a momentum change, whether it's a turnover or vice versa. So we got to step up to and when the play's called, step up to make that play and seize that opportunity with those downs. And we can't afford to leave things out on the table when we're handed, and we're actually not handed, but when we're creating momentum and not taking advantage of it.
Stood out watching it back. Chat had a good play call there.
Bad eye discipline, bad angles once the ball's completed. So it just comes down to eye discipline, playing our assignments, leveraging the ball, and getting 11 hats to the ball, playing with effort. So they executed the play, but a lot of things that happen in all games is most of the time someone making a mistake, and then that players take advantage of the opportunity of the mistake. So we got to cut down our minimum errors and minimum busts, and have great eye control on defense and fly to the football. Same thing on offense. We just got to. We've given up 2 touchdowns based on turnovers in our red area. quarterback sack fumble and a snap against Georgia Tech right there in the red area. So, eliminate those two things, and those opportunities that we didn't have on offense where we could gain some momentum. So we're work in progress and get on the same page, and our kids are really working hard to get out of everything that we're putting in front of them. So very proud of their attention to detail and trying to correct the things that we didn't do well.
I know you're focused game to game, but also a big part of this is you're hosting an SEC program and one that obviously in a neighboring state. How big is this for the program, just for the exposure and for recruiting and just getting more attention to the program overall?
Yeah, every opportunity is a big opportunity for our program and recruiting. We got a lot of recruits at the pass game, and I don't expect anything less. So that's how you change your roster. The biggest and the best way to change your roster is through recruiting, and we're big believers in that process and trying to get the best guys that we can that fits what we want accomplished here at Georgia State. So very encouraged by Vanderbilt and SEC team coming to our stadium. Like I say, hopefully our fans and will show out in bunches to support our kids and start to create an environment that's harder to play in. We definitely got the seating capacity.
Okay, and that was Coach McGee. Some audio difficulties there towards the end, but you got the gist of what he was saying, just previewing the Vanderbilt contest. Very tough opponent, undefeated Commodore team coming into Atlanta. Big wins over Virginia Tech and Alcorn State. It's their first road game of the season, so that may be a little bit of a unique element for Georgia State to take advantage of. And just in general, a very interesting contest for the Commodores. And yes, they do have their quarterback is leading the team in rushing yards and passing. Oscar, so a multi-dimensional quarterback. So Coach talked about defending that. And just the excitement, anticipation for the program. First time that they're hosting an SEC program. They have played at Auburn and at Tennessee in the past. And at South Carolina. So all those are road contests, but again, an SEC opponent to come into Atlanta and the host is a pretty significant deal. So Coach has some thoughts on that and much more. Next, we're going to transition to junior wide receiver Ted Hurst, who is the Panthers' leading receiver. He has 109 total receiving yards this season. Had a big catch against Chattanooga in the victory last week. So let's get right to junior wide receiver Ted Hurst and his thoughts on the contest.
For your experience, Julie, how do you feel like you guys are as a unit?
As a unit, we communicate almost every day outside of facility. So I feel like that's really important when you're playing football. So I love that.
Yes, it was kind of your number getting called a lot last Saturday. Got a touchdown, ended up with 6 catches. How does it feel personally to have game 2 here? Pretty big game for you.
Honestly, I'm really not so much even worried about the game like that, but just my family being able to see me and support me, that's really a good feeling.
Talk about the touchdown, how that came about. And
More so practicing, like routine plays, honestly, just a routine play. And just being able to celebrate with the guys was fun.
the one thing I noticed is you weren't very excited after you caught the pass. You could tell you just kind of put the ball down and walked away. Talk about the celebration.
The celebration, okay, so actually my brother, he happened to send me like this dance on TikTok. It was like, I need you to do this one for me. So like I had that thought in my mind already about I was gonna do that.
So your brother kind of put you up to it?
Yeah, yes sir, definitely.
What about fighting for that ball? I mean, you had it, and we saw you decided this was gonna be mine.
Yes sir. Honestly, I feel like that's like a big impact of my game, like being a deep threat, like being able to get the ball up, those contested catches and those strong catches. So really, I'm just trying to. It's something that I work on all the time. So it's like really routine, as I would say, like making sure any opportunity I get, I just got to make that play.
Coach talked about the need for the offense to maybe get a little more explosive. What do you think it might take for you guys to kind of hit on more of those plays?
Everything starts in practice. So if we're making those plays throughout practice, it's going to correlate because everything you do in practice is going to correlate to the game for sure.
Are you looking forward to playing a team from the Southeastern Conference?
Yes, sir. That was my first time.
You covered quite a bit the first 2 games, an ACC team to start, and the third week you got an SEC team.
Yes, sir.
What's that feel like, considering where you've been,
Uh-huh.
to come up and to face that caliber talent right away?
So honestly, from my standpoint, I feel like everybody puts on the pads the same way, the same. So it's like it really isn't too much a difference for me. I feel like honestly, I feel like that if we could do the same thing the next opponent is doing, or we could do the same thing, everybody's doing the same thing. It's just who's going to execute better.
How has Christian fit in and taken over at quarterback? How has that gone, and how does he work with the other receivers in the room?
Christian, I really don't too much want to talk about any other players, but Christian, he's a great guy. Like, he's just making sure he creates a relationship with everyone, honestly.
All right, and that was Mr. Hurst, Georgia State wide receiver, talking about the big catches against Chattanooga, including the victory transfer into the program from Valdosta State, really making his presence felt for the Panthers here in Atlanta. And finally, we're going to now have the audio of junior quarterback Jyron Gilmore, who had a game-sealing interception against Chattanooga, and just his thoughts on that interception and the team progressing through this season. So let's hear from him now.
Come through for my brothers. But right now, my focus is actually like on Vanderbilt. I feel like it was a great play, but Coach Dell always emphasizes the next moment. After that moment is done, focus on the next moment. The next moment right now is Vanderbilt.
Speaking of Vanderbilt, you're facing a team that's very a dual threat quarterback, run heavy.
Yes, sir.
From a defensive perspective, how do you approach this contest?
I feel like we approach it the same as every other week. Every team has different issues, which you are right with the running quarterback. They pose a lot of different threats for us. But I feel like when the defense for Georgia State is at the right place at the right time, is focusing on their keys, we will be good.
When they break the huddle, come up to the line, from what you've seen from them, what's your personal checklist?
What's my personal checklist? Can you elaborate on that?
No, just the thing when you know what their quarterback is capable of doing.
Yes, sir.
And what are the things you say, well, this is what I got to do, this is my responsibility.
Have my eyes in the right place.
Yeah.
Have my eyes in the right place. Have my eyes in the right place. I always find the ball. That goes for the other 10 players on the defense as well.
I guess a bit of a weird journey. You committed to the last staff year, ended up coming.
Yes, sir.
New staff in place, so probably a bit of a whirlwind few months there.
Yes, sir. That whole process, it was a lot of ups and downs. I feel like in that time, that's when I had to really rely on my faith in God. I knew that I was here for a reason. It was a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I just had to rely on God, pray to God that He'll get me through it.
Did you ever think about going somewhere else during the whole transition?
I knew I wanted to go to Georgia State. Coming from Tennessee Tech, it was a smaller town, and just being able to play football in a bigger city, that was always a dream of mine, to be on a bigger stage.
Was the interception like a welcome to Georgia State moment? I'm here.
No, I really wouldn't say so. I mean, I don't feel like it was in a we arrive moment or I've arrived moment. I just feel like that was something that I had the chance to do for my brothers, and I feel like any other 10 men on the field could have did the same thing. It was just me that it happened to be.
What about the fact that you happen to drop in on this program and you kick off with a historic game with Georgia Tech? You were all over the field that night. What was that like? That seemed like a pretty electric atmosphere over there.
That was a great moment. I feel like just to play in that moment, I had a lot of family come up from Ocala, Florida. Just to be able to play in front of my family, like my niece and my nephews, that was just a good feeling for me.
I guess not just your interception, 4 turnovers total for the first 2 games. Feel like
Yes, sir.
You feel like that's your defense doing your job, forcing takeaways.
Definitely, man. We always have a turnover goal every week, and we elaborate getting the ball back in practice every day. So that's just the results of hard work showing up from throughout the week.
All right, and once again, that was interview or information from junior quarterback Jyron Gilmore, and that concludes our audio and video from the presser this week. Yeah, very interesting contest for both teams. For Vanderbilt, I call this these bowl eligibility games. I think both teams have aspirations for competing in their respective conferences, but when you have these non-conference contests for Vanderbilt, each of these teams are trying to get to 6 wins. For Georgia State, you look at them and their schedule, very competitive Sun Belt Conference. Getting this victory will really be a big boost for them to get to that goal. And for Vanderbilt, you look at their schedule and the teams they face, including Texas, including Tennessee, multiple nationally ranked teams. And Georgia State looks like an opponent where you can get this victory, and that will lead you towards that bowl eligibility. It's a regional contest. It's only a few hours drive between the two schools, so it should be a very interesting contest and seeing what happens there. We'll be there. We'll have post-game content on the Sports Inquirer and all of our platforms. Make sure you check that out. Speaking of our platforms, as always, go to thesportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms at Twitter/X, Instagram, and Facebook. Just look us up under Etienne Marcel Portut or the Sports Inquirer. And then finally, make sure you like, share, and subscribe our audio and video hosts, which include YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and more. Thank you for listening and watching this latest edition of Fighting Peaches. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.